Hi, I'm Jason Conklin, and my last name is Conklin, and I am a 3-time kidney transplant recipient. I was actually diagnosed with prune belly syndrome. In other words, it's known as Ego-Barrett syndrome at birth. And the doctors talked to my parents and told them that I would have about 2 weeks to live. And then after 2 weeks, it was a month, and so on and so forth. And today I'm sitting here, I'm 34 years old, and run 2 successful businesses of my own. But I want to go back and tell you a little bit about my experience in high school. When I was in high school, was right around my second transplant, my first transplant being in the 5th grade. And in high school it was very tough. Elementary school was easier to deal with. A lot of my friends knew what was going on, but really didn't understand the whole idea of the gravity of the situation. Into high school, people started to understand more, and I was much different than most of my friends. Was always at school unless it was a simple cold or a flu. I was out all the time. I was always sick. I was always pale looking. I was very thin. And to try to explain that in high school is a difficult task. I was somewhat embarrassed by it once in a while, but most of the time I was pretty proud of what I was able to accomplish. And actually through 4-H and FFA, took the time to do some speaking engagements, and actually went around during my high school years and talked about organ and tissue transplantation and how it helped myself. And so I'm very passionate on getting the word out to high school students and college students that may not have been affected by a disease or know someone that's been affected by disease and how it affects their life. So I want to tell you a little bit about my experience in high school. During my sophomore year in high school, I ended up getting to the point where my kidneys completely failed and was on dialysis for 2 years. And what dialysis does is it actually takes the place of your kidneys. The dialysis that I tried the first one was called peritoneal dialysis. Peritoneal dialysis is they place a tube in your stomach and they put in fluid that wraps into your intestines and takes out the toxins out of your blood, similar to what your kidneys would do. Because of the situation that I had, because of the diagnosis that I had and was born with, the prune belly syndrome, the reason it's called prune belly syndrome is my stomach did not have full muscle development. My stomach looks like the end of your finger when you take it out of water for a long time. It has the prune shriveled up look. And because of that situation, the tube would not allow the solution to come back out. So I ended up getting even sicker on that dialysis because the toxins wouldn't come out. They were putting it in, it was flushing it out of my system, but I couldn't get this fluid to come back out. Had to try that 3 or 4 times. That didn't work. We went to what's called hemodialysis, and hemodialysis was every other day, going 35 minutes from our home in Fremont to Toledo, starting at 6:30 in the morning, trying to get me back in time for my high school classes. Generally, I was not able to make it back because with hemodialysis, it does take the toxins out of your blood, but it also takes away from the rest of the water in your body, and I would develop excruciating headaches. I would be sick to my stomach, and a lot of times even just the regular lights of a room would be just unbearable headaches. I ended up having to have a home tutor, for the 2 years I was on dialysis. Very rarely was I able to go to school. And going back to what I talked about before, that made it very hard to understand for people that knew who I was, but were not close friends of mine. My close friends were very supportive. I had a great group of people I hung around with, and they helped keep me going and times were hard to do. And from that experience, it helped me look at how lucky having your health can be, and sometimes how people take it for granted. I got up every morning wishing I could go to high school. And I know you may be sitting there thinking to yourself, well, this is the last place I'd want to be, is sitting in this gymnasium or wherever you're watching this video. But don't take your health for granted. You have the opportunity to be at high school You have the opportunity to play sports, you have the opportunity to be in clubs, and I missed out on some of that. I missed out on some of my high school projects and missed out on being at school during dialysis, and it was hard to do, but it made me really realize now that I had my transplant and someone else had to lose their life to give me a new life. And I've really taken the opportunity and made the best of the situation. Since leaving high school, I went to college, graduated, and worked for several different companies, including one business, starting my own businesses. And what I'm most proud of is I've taken the time to give back to my community. I've been a volunteer firefighter for about 18 years, and I see that as my way of giving back to the people that gave to me. Someone gave in their time of need, and it was a bad situation for another family. And by being a volunteer firefighter, I try to be there and support those people in their time of need to the best of my ability. So I never take my health for granted, and I hope that you don't either. I hope that you take and think about every morning when you get up the luxury of having your health and being able to attend school on a regular basis, and even when out with your friends. Don't ever take for granted being able to have control of where you are and what you do at any given time.